Just got out of seeing the newest MCU movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, and I gotta say, go see this movie in the theater. I got to see it opening night with a big crowd with great audience reactions. It's really the only way to watch this movie for the full experience. So first of all, go to this theater and watch this movie. But yeah, Deadpool and Wolverine is a movie that is exactly how it was marketed around. Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up, joining the MCU, and it completely delivered on that and was one of the most fun MCU movies we've seen in recent years. But with saying that, although it was an extremely fun movie, the plot was very thin and it was a very cliche story of, Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up, trying to get their way back home. And like I said, this movie is more about having a fun time, seeing these two characters interact, seeing them interact with the MCU with all these new different characters and all these cameos. But if you're going to see this movie for the story, you're probably not going to be too happy with it. Like me personally, I was not expecting a big, huge story, but I think I was expecting a little bit more with the story rather than this cliche plot we've seen in many superhero movies. But with that being said, this is still very much a character-driven movie with Deadpool and Wolverine. And that works extremely well because Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, they've completely nailed their characters. They've been playing them for years. They know what works, what doesn't work, what the fans want to see, and they completely just go off of that in this movie, and it works so well. And these two characters are complete opposites from each other, but this movie did so well is made these two opposites work together so well, and that's what was the best part of the movie, was just seeing them play off each other. And Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds just have an amazing chemistry with everyone, but especially each other in this movie. And because that works so well, it makes the story, even though the story's a little stale, it makes it a little bit better because the characters are so great in this movie and are just so watchable. Seeing Hugh Jackman back as Wolverine was for sure the best part of this movie for me. Not only does he have great chemistry with everyone, including Ryan Reynolds, but he nails his comedic timing. But more than that, he brings something new to the Deadpool movies with this darkness and pain that I think really helped move the story forward. It brought a new kind of perspective to the movie. And Ryan Reynolds, of course, brings so much fun and comedy to the screen. This is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, honestly. I laughed out loud so many times, especially because just some of the stuff that Deadpool says. Like, nobody in any movie or TV show says the stuff that Deadpool says or does the things that Deadpool does, and it's just so extremely fun to watch. Now, the cameos, I think for the most part, were handled really well in this movie, especially for a multiverse movie. Sometimes it did feel like the only reason the story was moving forward was because of the cameos, and I didn't love that all the time with this story, but I guess the story kind of needed that. But a lot of the cameos weren't just, oh my god, I can't believe he's back, and they're only there for like 2 seconds. There were some cameos like that, and those were really cool to see, but I really like how they handled the cameos is that they meant something to the story. They weren't just there for the applause of the crowd. They contributed to the story and helped move the story forward. But also these cameos honored these characters that maybe weren't as honored in their previous movies in the past, and it's like a love letter to a lot of these characters with these cameos. It's not just there to be like, look who we brought back. But by far my favorite parts of the movie were the action fight scenes. That's what I walked out of this movie thinking about was, oh my god, those fight scenes were incredible, and honestly one of the best fight scenes we've ever seen in the MCU are in this movie. They were just super impressive, choreographed really well, but they also looked amazing. Like, the CGI was not a problem really for me in this movie at all, but the fights just looked so clean and crisp. And also because it's a rated R Deadpool and Wolverine movie, it was bloody and gory and like no other fight we've ever seen in a Marvel or MCU movie, and that was really cool. And pretty much every fight in this movie is like that. I think they nailed pretty much every fight, no matter how big or small it was. My one little gripe I have with the fights is that they played music and songs over these fights most of the time, and I think it was a little bit distracting. I think you could have just put a score over this fight, or maybe not even any music at all. I don't think it was necessary. But also, this movie has an incredible opening credits, which a lot of movies don't do anymore. This is great opening credits fight scene, and it was very nostalgic but also very fresh and new, and that was one of my favorite scenes of the movie. Now to me, I think a lot of the TVA stuff this movie was very like complex and difficult to follow at sometimes. Maybe that's just me, but it kind of took me out of the movie, especially in like the beginning of it. Maybe it's because I didn't really feel like rewatching Loki season 1 and 2, but like I didn't really want to. But Matthew Macfadyen was great in this movie. I'm a big fan of him ever since I saw him in Succession. He brought a whole new character, Paradox, to this movie, and I really enjoyed every scene he had. And the villain in this movie is just really meh. Like, it's another MCU villain problem of a character. Like, she's a really powerful villain, but she never really even seems that powerful. Also, her motive and her backstory is like mentioned, but we don't really dive into it at all. Like, really, yeah, at all. She says like a few lines about it, and that's really it. I think they needed to dive into this character more for us to maybe feel for her more or care about her character more, because I just really saw her as another MCU villain who I'll forget about. Also, I was not a big fan of the ending of this movie. It felt very, very safe and calm. I was expecting a bit more of an ending for this jam-packed, wild multiverse movie of Deadpool and Wolverine joining the MCU, but it was just a very, very safe ending. Not saying it didn't work, just to me, I was expecting a much bigger ending. But overall, this is a love letter to OG Marvel Fox fans, OG Marvel fans in general. I think us hardcore Marvel fans, MCU fans, will really love this movie. If you're a casual fan, not sure you'll love it as much. I think you'll love the comedy, the Deadpool and Wolverine stuff, but there's some stuff in this movie I just don't think casual fans will love. But it's a love letter for MCU, Marvel fans, Fox fans, and it delivered on that perfectly. I don't think I can say this saved the MCU, because this still didn't even really feel like an MCU movie, which is really good. This movie shouldn't feel like an average MCU movie. It should feel like a Deadpool movie. It should feel like a Wolverine movie, and it did feel like that. So I'm not gonna say it saved the MCU, because I'm not even really associating with it as the MCU, even though they're in the MCU universe. But it was definitely satisfying to walk in and out of this movie excited and wanting to see it again, which is a feeling we haven't seen for Marvel movies in a while now. But let me know what you guys thought about Deadpool and Wolverine in the comments down below. Did you love it? Did you not? Let me know all of that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.